Does Sean Payton no longer trust Russell Wilson as his quarterback? Over the last 3 games, the Denver Broncos are 2-1, and we have seen a significant shift in the Broncos' offensive philosophy in those past 3 games. The Broncos have made a point to almost take the ball out of Russell Wilson's hands and start really committing more and more to the run game. That's what we thought we would see with this Denver Broncos offense earlier in the season. We thought that they would be a lot more of a run-heavy team, but coming in and looking at Russell Wilson's stats, it only shows to the Chicago game and beyond, but in 4 of the first 5 games for the Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson had over 30 passing attempts. Now, obviously, in the Miami game, that's going to make things just naturally skewed because the Denver Broncos were playing from behind from pretty much that whole game, but besides that, man, the only game in the first 5 games where Russell Wilson didn't have more than 30 passing attempts was the Chicago game where he had 28 attempts. But you'll see here over the last 3 weeks, in the first matchup against Kansas City, Russell threw the ball 22 times. Against Green Bay, he did throw the ball 29 times, but averaged 6.7 yards per attempt in that game. And then obviously against Kansas City, we saw Russell Wilson only throw the ball 19 times, and the Broncos really committed to the run game in that one, and the balls that Russell Wilson did throw for the most part were screens and swing passes to the running back. I mean, the Broncos only had 5 passes from Russell Wilson that traveled beyond the line of scrimmage, so that tells us that the Broncos were really trying to predicate on the short swing passing game, the screen game, which really did work well against the Kansas City Chiefs, but a lot of the passes were just short, easy throws that took the ball out of Russell Wilson's hand, basically. Now, if we come over here, conversely, and take a look at the Denver Broncos running game over the past few weeks, you'll see that the workload for Javonte Williams has really increased in the past 2, where he had 15 carries against Green Bay, and then that shot all the way up to 27 in the second matchup against Kansas City, by far his highest total of the season. He didn't have much in terms of yards per carry, only averaging 3.1 yards per carry, but for me, it's all about committing to the run game, grinding the defense down slowly but surely, and just showing that you're committed to it. The Denver Broncos have really shifted their offensive philosophy over the last few weeks. Both the numbers and the tape will tell you that. The question then becomes, are the Broncos just trying to lean on their run game more, or do they no longer trust Russell Wilson? I personally think it's more so the Broncos are just trying to lean on their run game, but there could be a small element of trying to mask some of Russell Wilson's flaws that, let's just be honest, guys, are still appearing on tape. I love Russ. I will defend Russ to death, but I will also be willing to admit that the Broncos probably should move on from Russell Wilson this coming offseason when they can take a $35 million dead cap hit next year and then basically disperse all that dead money and not have to take a big load of it over the next few years. This is the one exit path that we have to get out of Russell Wilson's deal. If Russell Wilson is still on the Denver Broncos roster the 4th day of the 2024 league year, then his 2025 salary, valued at over $50 million, guys, becomes fully guaranteed. I like Russ, and I want Russell Wilson to be the quarterback in Denver, but I can also recognize that that's probably not the best scenario for the team moving forward. But regardless, Russell Wilson is absolutely going to command the ship through this season. Hell, the Denver Broncos could even make a little playoff push here if we can win some of these winnable games that are down the stretch on our schedule. I think of Minnesota. I think of Cleveland, especially because of their crappy quarterback situation. Chargers will probably get once. We've got New England. The Broncos' toughest portion of their schedule is now behind them. We've got a really tough game coming up against Buffalo, but there's a chance that the Denver Broncos could seriously go on a little bit of a run here if we take care of business against the opponents that, on paper, we should beat. That's what beating the Kansas City Chiefs shows, man. That shows that we can stand toe for toe with almost any opponent. I still think it's going to be a little bit tough going into Buffalo to get a win, but after that, we've got some very beatable opponents on the schedule, guys. So, be it the way that the Denver Broncos are just trying to work their game plan with the run game, or they no longer trust Russell Wilson. However they're going about it, their offensive game plan over the last couple of weeks has worked, and it has worked well. So I don't necessarily think that it's fair to say that the Denver Broncos no longer trust Russell Wilson. Again, I just think that that's how the game scripts have gone over the last few games, and to the credit of the Denver Broncos, it has worked well. All right, Broncos country, I am curious. Do you guys think that this sort of shift in philosophy for the Denver Broncos offense is to put the ball in Javonte Williams' hands more so than it is to take the ball out of Russ's hands? Or do you feel like Sean Payton wants to limit Russ's exposure as much as possible? And do you think that he is, in fact, trying to take the ball out of his hands? Drop those comments down below, guys. I would love to hear your thoughts, as always. Be sure to leave a like on this video, as well as subscribe and ring the bell so these videos appear in your notification feed. I would really appreciate it, guys. Those are 2 free and easy ways to show your support. Helps tell YouTube's algorithm to push us out, and helps us get seen by more and more members of Broncos country just like you and me. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.